Hey, it's Karlie.
Hey, Shamina.
And
And we're
emotional.
emotional. What's up, everybody? We are here to discuss all things season one. We want to do kind of a recap of season one, what our thoughts were about it, and what to expect next week. Coming in hot for season two.
Sorry, everyone. I'm looking a hot mess, but that's because I worked out this morning and I did stuff, but now I'm like, woohoo. Okay. So first thing I think we want to tap on is what we were even expecting from season one. And then I think maybe we can do a little recap and then expectations. So for me, what I was expecting, if I'm being honest, I thought it was going to be more about me, but I'm happy that it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I if I'm being real with myself, my expectations was I thought it was going to be more about me and my journey and what I was going through. But looking back, I'm glad that it wasn't, because I think I wouldn't have been able to grow as much as I feel like I did if we just focused on me and what I was going through. I think it would have kept me where I was at. Whereas I think expanding it and having guests and branching out and not talking about my situation every time was good. And I think it helped me grow, I think, more than talking about my situation would have.
Yeah. And I think I would have been very resentful if like that's all that we talked about was like your breakup, because I think that was the concept going into it, was like this is about the breakup. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think if we just continued like talking about that, I'd be like, yo, I can't talk about this anymore. Like there's only
Well,
so
yeah.
much that we can talk about, like with
It would
a
have gotten boring. I think even for
yeah,
the listeners, it would have gotten boring. So that's why
yeah,
I'm saying, like, I think my state of mind when we started the podcast was I need to talk about it, but I'm glad that that's not what it was, because, yeah, you need to get it out sometimes, but I think I needed to focus on other things and, stuff like that to get past it.
yeah. Definitely. And, that kind of goes back to like, we've mentioned this multiple times in the podcast of like that conversation that you and I had where I was like, Karlie, like, I can't hear this anymore. Like, I love you. I can't hear this. I just
Mhm.
can't talk about it. And so I think, even the podcast was like an extension of that, and
Mhm.
allowing us to like grow and exploring different issues and how that obviously relates, because we usually like tie it back to the breakup in some way, or something that you or I have experienced. And so I think it's
Mhm.
allowed us to really expand into that a lot more.
Yeah, and I'll say it again too, is that conversation was a really big wake up call for me to not give this person all of my energy, because that's what I was doing, because that's all that I knew. But I think that comment slash conversation was a wake up call for me of like, it's okay to feel what I'm feeling, but I cannot consume it and make it my whole being. And that's what I was doing in that time. And I think that I've definitely grown from that.
Absolutely. If I seem distracted or I'm looking away or moving around, it's because I have 4 little foster kittens behind me that are learning how to escape out of their enclosure and want to be free and don't want to be trapped.
That is
So
unacceptable. But that was my expectation, I think, in kind of a very mini version of a recap. We can get more into a recap, but that was honestly my expectation for season one. But I'm glad it didn't go as what I expected. But what was yours?
I don't know if I had any, to be completely honest, because I think my expectations started to change after the first episode, because we had like planned what we were going to do for the first episode, and I was like, okay, got it. You see these little things? There's um but I can remember sitting in the first episode, and I really didn't speak that much. And it was kind of like more about like your story and everything that was going on and happening, which was fine. But I remember like messaging you afterwards, and I was like, I think I need to be more involved, and like it needs to be more even. And I even had like a family member reach out, and they were like, is this Karlie's podcast, or like, are you guys doing this together? Because after the first episode, like I couldn't tell. And so I think then I started to become more vocal or involved in saying like, yeah, like this is what I want to talk about, or this is what I'm comfortable discussing. And so I think that was a lot more eye-opening for me once we got into it. But in the beginning, I was like, I have no idea what this is going to be like, or, you know, what are we even going to talk about, or how are things going to go? And so, you know.
And I will say on that, because I agree about the first episode, but I remember us talking prior, and I remember you kind of were on the fence of how involved you wanted to be because of your job. So I remember like I wanted you all in, and I think I've said this to you before, but I feel like the more episodes we do, the more willing you are to kind of give some personal information or like some life stories. But yeah, like, because you know, I wanted you to talk a lot about your past relationship and how that was for you and everything. But I know in the very beginning you were really hesitant and you were kind of standoffish. And I think that maybe after hearing the first episode and then maybe the feedback that we were getting that people enjoyed it, that you were like, oh, I want to be more involved, you know, because I've even noticed like after each episode, I think you're more willing to say more of your life, which I want. But you know me, I'm like an open book. So
Definitely. And I think so what Karlie's talking about, like my hesitation with my career. So obviously I'm a therapist, and when you go to therapy, usually you don't know that much about your therapist. You know, you'll learn things like here or there, but it's not like, yeah, like this is my experience too, and this is what I'm going through, and this is everything that you need to know about me. It's very one-sided in that relationship for a reason. And so I was very like hesitant or reserved because I like had the thought of how much do I want my clients to know about me? Because I do like to keep my personal and my professional life very different and very separate. And so I think I would agree with you that I've definitely felt more comfortable because I've also heard from, you know, a lot of feedback from people like this is really relatable or this is really helpful. And so I think that's been, I don't know, I guess like empowering for me to like, yeah, like the things that I have to say are important and people want to hear that. And, you know, even some of my clients have like found the podcast and they're like, this is really like relatable. Like, I really appreciate some of the things that you guys are talking about. And so I think that's allowed me to get more comfortable, but also recognizing that like, I'm a person too, and I've gone through experiences, even though I'm just a therapist, not just a therapist, that I am a therapist. And so, you know, I'm allowed to talk about things if I'm comfortable with it, and, you know, being able to share my experiences as well, and not just kind of keep this like professional distance because of my own worries, I guess I could say.
Yeah. So I think I think that it's good that you've opened up. I think it's definitely added to the podcast and, you know, made it more enjoyable hearing both perspectives and not just your professional. Like, obviously we enjoy your professional, but I think hearing your personal is like, oh, like a therapist goes through this too, or, you know, whatever. But so do you want to recap now, I guess, on season 1 kind of?
Yeah, I mean, there's not like too much. I think season 1 has been like such a growing
journey.
like such a growing experience for us because we're pretty like structurally unstructured. And you know, so each episode we like tweak it a little bit, or we're like, oh, I didn't like how that like turned out, like let's add this the next time. And so I think for me, I'm hoping to see a little more consistency in season 2, and like we got our shit figured out a little bit more than we did in season 1.
But we also did get feedback that like some stuff people enjoy us not.
Yes.
And you know me, I'll never be a huge planner.
No, as much as I want you to be, that will never happen. So I think season one is mostly just like us exploring what the podcast is going to be for us, what we want it to be, obviously about the breakup, and but kind
Being
of tying,
ourselves.
yeah, absolutely, and tying that into like our personal lives and through these different topics. And I feel like even in season one we've made so many connections with like our guests or just other people in general. And I mean, you and I even started like a book club because
Yeah.
of like some of the connections that we've made in season one. And so I think overall, like my takeaway is that it has been such a learning experience, and I didn't expect as much positive feedback as we've gotten. There's
Mhm.
people make podcasts like all the freaking time. Like you could literally make a podcast about like blowing your nose or something, and somebody would listen to it. So we're kind of in this industry where so many people are doing this thing, but we're still getting such positive feedback, or like, this is really relatable. I feel like I'm in the room with you guys. I really enjoy hearing you guys talk. And I really, really like that, because I feel like we're adding something different to the industry.
Yeah, I'll agree. I think my takeaway was initially like I figured, my family and my close friends would listen to support me. And like, honestly, for me, it was just going to be an outlet, like another source that I could use to get my feelings out without feeling like I'm burdening someone, even, but then like hearing the feedback of people of, like what you said, if they felt like they were in the room with us, and then realizing like we reached 100 listeners, we reached 150 listeners. It was like, what? Like, I don't have 150 close friends. So it was like, that's really cool. And then like, people from our past reaching out to us saying that they appreciate it and enjoy it and sharing our stuff. Like, to me, the biggest exciting thing is like when people share it and they're like, listen, and it's like, oh, they want to listen. They want us to listen. And then I think like the other thing that I was going to take away, or that I wanted to emphasize, is really what you're hearing is who we are. Like, we are not faking nothing. Like, this is who we are. This is our real selves. Sometimes I randomly will burst out in a song and whatever, and I'm scatterbrained just as much in real life as I am in this podcast. And yeah.
and I think that that's it too, is like our authenticity shows,
Mhm.
like even on our like virtual appoint not appointments,
Episodes.
yeah, that's the word. You can tell I do virtual therapy. Because for a while we were able to get together because you were at your parents' house and they were a lot closer to me. So now that you're back home, we've had to do a lot of it virtually, but I still think the connection is there, the authenticity is there, and it makes it so much, I feel like, so much more relatable, because it's like, this is literally who we are. And
Mhm.
if you met us outside of this, you'd be like, wow, they are exactly the same type of people. And yes, we are.
Yeah, and I feel like another reason why I wanted to start this podcast is because I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like when I get together with my friends, most times we're having deep conversations like this. And so it's like, why are we not recording this? Like, this is literally what I talk about with like, we'll make dinner and we talk deeply about like our lives, or just like things that we're passionate about, like having kids, not having kids. And like, we go in and like, we just, and I love it because with each one of my friends, we may have different perspectives, but we always respect each other's opinion. And I feel like that's kind of like, me and you don't agree on everything the same, but I think that we have this mutual respect. Like, okay, that's maybe how you feel, and that's cool. And like, you are able to give your points of reasoning, and then I can give mine. And then, at the end of the day, we respected each other, but we may have different views.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So, what do you expect to see coming out of season two, or I guess coming into season two?
Well, it's funny because I think because I had expectations for season one and they were nothing of what I was expecting, that I don't think that I have expectations for season two. I mean, I guess I'm expecting the unexpected. Like, I'm expecting more growth for me as an individual, hopefully more supporters. But really I just, and maybe like you said, more connections. Like, I like the fact that we've been able to reach out to so many people and hear their stories, but also how we could live such totally different lives, yet we have the same feelings or thoughts on certain subjects, and just like it may be a little different, but it's like, oh my God, I feel that too.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that's an expectation, but those are my thoughts.
I think it would be a form of expectation, but I agree with you. I don't know if I even have any expectations coming into season 2. I think I'm really excited for the guest lineup that we have, because I think we have some really awesome guests this episode. Or not, yeah. I just worked a full day, so my brain is like, what? So I'm excited for the guests because it really branches. We have such a wide variety of topics that we're going to be talking about this season. And I think that's going to be super exciting because yes, the relationship stuff is important, but like that's only one aspect of like lives. So I'm super excited to kind of see what comes of that, and just I think our like continued growth, because you know, you and I have talked about how we're trying to separate like our friendship and the podcast, and seeing like how
will that work?
That, but like if it will be more successful for like you on a personal level between you and I, if we're able to keep it separate. Because before it was like, oh, you know, we'll call each other and it's like blah blah blah, podcast, oh yeah, I'm going to the store, I'm doing this, like I'm doing that, and it would be so like enmeshed. And so I think I'm looking forward to like having a little more structure and like separating it out, so it's like you and I. Oh yeah, that was why I was like, why is she cringing right now? But I said the S word. But I think that will only help like our connection, because it's like we get to enjoy our company and our friendship, and then we do the podcast, and that's a little bit separate from it. So I think I'm looking forward to that, and just being able to create more content, because you and I have talked about like sometimes I will dread coming and like recording, or just even the thought of like having to do something for the podcast. I'm like, oh my God, like again, we have to do something again. And then we do it. And I'm like, I feel really good. Like this is good. I do enjoy doing this. And when we have guests, like I get a lot of energy from it. And so I think it's a really positive outlet for me as well. Just being able to like connect with other people, you know, like I work from home, so it's not like I leave my home and see people. Like often I see all of my animals and my partner, but I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I agree too. I think I told you how I was feeling the same way. Sometimes I think it for me it depends on the topic, because I still feel that sometimes if the topic hits too close to home for me, I'm kind of like, ooh, like, but then I think after we do it, I'm like, okay, but like sometimes I'm still working on like talking about what I'm going through. Like I'll talk about the breakup, but I think like internally and stuff of like things that I'm personally struggling with, sometimes I'm like, oh, oh gosh, we have to talk a whole session about like not even me, but like someone else. But then it's like, oh, someone else goes through that. That's like normal. Okay. And then afterwards I'm like, oh, okay, well, I feel good. I'm not the only one.
Yeah, definitely. So what's coming in season 2 that we want to share with our viewers that we're very excited about?
Well, I don't know about content wise, because like you said, it's gonna be all over the place, but we're gonna have a special giveaway that we're going to announce on social media, on our social media pages. So make sure you keep up for that stuff. I'm excited about it. I think it'll be another way to expand us, but yeah, keep an eye out in the next sometime, I don't know, in the next near future. We will
Yes,
be
soon, in the
soon.
upcoming week or two. And our Facebook page, we post updates on our Facebook our Facebook page, which is Emotionful Podcast. So like us on Facebook to get more content and updates, and also follow us on Instagram, and our handle is Emotionful Pod. that those two platforms are going to be where we have our giveaways. So if you want to participate in the giveaway, please make sure to follow, like, or subscribe to us on our socials. Hi, Blue. And
she's ready for her walk.
Yes, we've done, just recently we've been kind of working with some other people in the industry to be able to create some really cool content for you guys and just kind of expanding like our brand. So we're super excited for that. And I think for the giveaway, we're really excited about. So please stay tuned and check us out on our social media, on Facebook and on Instagram for more information about and when the giveaway will occur.
Yes, and then we are starting to get patrons.
Yes.
So it's like a super exciting feeling. So we're going to shout them out now. So shout out to Kevin Gallagher, Therese Gallagher, and Joanne Stewart.
Thank you all for your support and for believing in us and our podcast. We can't thank you guys enough for that and how much that really means to us. And don't forget to check out our Patreon page if you do want to become a patron, have access to exclusive content, be able to listen to episodes early, all the good kinds of things. So check out our Patreon page to be able to do that. Karlie and I are super stoked for season 2 to come out next Tuesday, July 6th. We have been working hard these past 2 weeks on our little hiatus to, I don't know, make you guys feel full of emotion.
Yeah, make you feel full and to bring you guys the best that we can offer, I guess. So what is it I'm working hard for a living? It's like, I don't know.
What?
I'm taking what I'm given and I'm working hard for a living.
Is that a song?
I don't know. I think my dad says it. So it may be his own song, unless it is a song out there. I don't know.
It probably is a song, but your dad changed the lyrics like he did to that one song when we were watching that movie. So
yes.
So continue to support us and our mission, like us on YouTube. So please make sure to like and subscribe to this video. Follow us on our Facebook and Instagram pages. Check out our Patreon page to become a patron and stay tuned for next week for our season 2 premiere. Should we give them a little sneak peek about what we're going to talk about?
At our premiere?
Yeah, for the premiere episode.
I don't know.
Oh, I know.
Oh, I don't. Okay, well, you've been doing planning without me then.
Yes, I have. I have.
Well, then let's keep it a secret because it's a secret to me.
Well, then stay tuned Tuesday, July 6th for our season 2 premiere.
Yes.
And once Karlie and I do more organization and structure and get on the same page, then we may release some spoilers and teasers for what we will be talking about during our season 2 premiere.
See, sometimes it's not just structure. She also just moves ahead of me. So
I'm like 5 steps ahead, man. So all right, we will see you all next week for season 2.
Yes, bye.
Bye.